Hi everyone and welcome back to the WARNO July tournament. Today we have our second game with Lathans and Meddi. And Lathans said that I'm going to be unimpressed with him in this game, and he has no honour. And I now understand what he meant, because immediately he has called in 4 little birds, and what's that? A command chopper and 2 aero rifles choppers. So he has gone heavy choppers, but honestly, that's not as many as I expected from what he said. I was expecting much, much worse. Both players are playing as the 82nd Airborne here. Mehdi is on the left in red. Lathans, that could have been a lot worse. It's not quite the same as what I expected. But I can see what you're doing. You're going straight for Delta. I'd be shocked if you didn't, with all of that, including a command chopper. But this goes both ways. This is kind of cheesy, but it's also not, because you got nothing in the middle, which means that Mehdi can take the middle. And hopefully he realises that. Obviously points ticking in for Lathans because he's currently +3, but rocket attack jet coming in, F-16C HE coming in there as well. But yeah, so he's going to kill the command chopper here. Very, yeah, easily, without a shadow of a doubt. But I wish. I don't know if this is a good idea or not from Mehdi. He's kind of pulling stuff across that way, but really, I almost wish he'd pushed hard into Charlie and taken it out, because he could have done that. He has enough units. What is that, rocket or something flying all the way across the map? Look at that. It just keeps going. That is so buggy. Finally exploded. Look at Mehdi. Mehdi's not taking this line down. He's doing the same thing. So command chopper is dead for Lathans. So that was, in the grand scheme of things, it was a failure. That really wasn't that bad, Lathans. It really wasn't. I was expecting something much worse. Much, much worse. Now, if Mehdi's careful with this, he'll neutralise. He could have really done with doing it before these came in. I almost wish he had some of his own little birds around here to clear up this mess, because I think he'd be quite successful. Still pushing with some heavy hogs up here now. It is called a heavy hog, but weirdly, it is a... It's not a heavy hog in the sense that I would think of a heavy hog. A heavy hog to me is a transport chopper with lots of rockets on. Eagle coming in there and taking out that jet. This is just sat there for Mehdi. I don't know what his plan is. He's pushing out into this area though, which is great. Mehdi certainly learnt from the game he just played with Lathans. He's reclaimed this. He's got a command in it. Still +3 to Lathans, so Lathans has a nice head start there, but Mehdi's putting up a good fight. Just loads of airborne running in here. Now, technically speaking, if he can get in range, these airborne engineers should mince all these airborne units. But he needs more forces here, because there are 3 squads. They will be causing him issues. So this now completely in Mehdi's control. And what we've seen is obviously Lathans has used a lot of points to try and rush Delta. So technically, Mehdi should be able to now push Charlie if he moves everything back across. Mehdi has the opportunity here to absolutely destroy Lathans. I don't think he's going to move as quickly as he needs to do that. I don't think Mehdi is that experienced that he knows he needs to move that quickly. Because my concern is obviously that if he isn't pushing here already, by the time he does push, Lathans is going to have reinforcements in Charlie. And obviously Lathans already trying to keep some pressure up down here. He's bringing in Avengers to deal with the choppers as well. Here's this chopper coming in now. Look, those airborne scouts have been moved out of the point as well. So there's nothing in here protecting that CV. This doesn't have any weapons on it, but he can neutralize the point. Now these Avengers do, however, have a very nice heavy machine gun on them. So he could use that to kill this chopper when it's landed as well. But look at all this up here. He needs to get all of this stuff moving to Charlie. At the minute, it feels like he's sending a lot to try and fight these aero rifles. Oh, the aero rifles are killing stuff that's coming in as well. Jeez. Are these little birds all out of ammo? They are completely out of ammo. Jeez. He needs to get them out of there rearmed and repaired. Look at this. Neutralized just on the corner. Beautiful. Lathans now +1. Could do with the command. There is a command in here. Oh, there it goes. It's capped now. I was so confused as to why that hadn't capped. Lots of fighting going on here. I feel like Lathan's just edging out with these airborne units and his micromanagement of them. He just needs... Mehdi needs more stuff there. These tanks will help a lot. Those aero rifles, man. Finally dead. Jeez. Please don't just sit. Please push. Please push, Mehdi. You can do this. You can have Lathans majorly on the back foot right now. He's sending stuff up here to protect this side, which isn't a bad idea. It's something I would do, but right now I feel like those points are better spent on attacking Charlie. Look, the Abrams is arriving now. Lathans is so on the back foot right now. This game was yours for the taking. Beautiful, you're repairing your choppers and everything else. Another player that's learning fast is Mehdi. But look, reinforcements coming in down here now. Lathans is going to keep the pressure up everywhere. He's not going to let up. But, my God, Mehdi could completely take Charlie. But yeah, Lathans, that wasn't as brutal as I thought you were going to be. I thought you were going to have, like, a side with a lot of Apaches and stuff, not that you were just going to be taking little birds. I thought it was going to be, like, what Derek did to the extreme. So, no, you know, that was a little rush on a back point that was somewhat ineffective. Not as exciting as I expected. You bigged it up too much. Look at all these reinforcements coming in now down here. Now Mehdi's job will be to carefully split forces. He needs to have loads coming in at the top for Charlie, but then he needs a couple coming in at the bottom for defense. And getting that balance is a hard thing. So knowing that you need to bring in 1 or 2 units for Alpha, but 4 or 5 for Charlie at the same time to keep the pressure on is the challenge. Because he needs to defend Alpha against a very aggressive player, while also pushing Charlie, because Lathans isn't going to sit still in Charlie. He's going to try and push out to keep the pressure on those forces that are coming in. He's not just going to sit back and defend. Look at this. The Abrams straight out in the front there. The A-10 is going to go for it. The A-10 has a chance of doing it a lot of damage, to be fair. We tested these rocket jets against a tank in this new patch, and the rocket jets can actually do a lot of damage to a tank if the rockets hit. So not to be underestimated. Sheridan's will get shots off with missiles, but nothing's hit it yet. I mean, he needs to just get in up close and personal. These airborne engineers, they're stuck out in the field. Just run them in. Run them into those airborne engineers. You know, it's sort of 50-50 chance who's going to have the upper hand there. But you should win because you've got 2 squads to his 1. But this is the thing, Lathans isn't going to stop. Look at all these reinforcements coming in and more behind them. So he's not bringing in as much down here now. He's realised he needs to reinforce the top. But look at that, immediately peeling off some mech rifles down here to defend this area as well. Mehdi could push through here and go to Echo. He has lost his command that was in Echo, obviously. I didn't expect that to last long without defense, but He has potential to push through here. There's only a couple of Avengers there. Micro rifles are probably the biggest threat, but he should have enough infantry here to push through these infantry. It just depends how he uses them. Look, he's even got flash there. Get those flash moved up. They're not within range. This is where the micromanagement skill comes into it, and it's something you learn over time, and some people will always be better at it than others. Lathan's obviously getting very good at that at the moment. And I'm very impressed by his gradual, I say gradual, let's be honest, very fast progress to where he's got right now. There we go, Airborne Engineers pushing up here, keeping the pressure on. He needs to come in from multiple angles. Look at those Sheridans, move them up. Don't sit them there, get them moving. You've got to keep moving. Against an opponent like Lathans, who is going to keep moving, going to keep pushing back, he's not going to let up an inch of ground if he can help it. He's going to try and force your assault force back over. He wants you further away from the point. Against a player like that, you've just got to keep up the pressure and whittle him down. So every time he brings a new unit in, you need to be on top of him with 5 of your own units and killing it. Whittling down those defensive forces every time he aggressively pushes it forward. You can't be scared, you can't be pushed back, you have to keep going. Those Sheridans are sat back doing nothing. The amount of fire support they would be providing to those infantry on the front line would be amazing. Plus, they'd be even closer to the Abrams to do more damage. Down here again, we see that aggression from Lathans is paying off. Really, it started off with Mehdi having more units here, but because he's not using them effectively, he's not micromanaging them as well as Lathans, he's getting pushed back into alpha, and Lathans is moving units in and out, reinforcing them. He's got the supply truck there. He's got Avengers there taking out these choppers. Those choppers need to immediately target that Avenger and fire everything at it. He needs to stun lock it and kill it. But it's too late, they're dead. It's got to be snap, snap, snap with those really quick micromanagement decisions. And that's really hard. Really, really hard. And that's why only the best players can do it. And that's why they're the best players. If you look at someone like Karma, he will be micromanaging units so fast that most people will never keep up with him. That's just a fact. And that's life. Some people are just that good at these things. Avenger is low on ammo. Out of missiles now. Could be to his advantage. He still has... Does he, he only has command choppers left. Oh, there's one heavy hog at the back there. Here we go. Look at that. All of those tanks that he's pushed up there. See, this is the thing. So Mehdi held back with all of his tanks. It's allowed Lathans to push more and more tanks into the point, and then straight out, fire a load, pull all the way back, repair, rearm, push out, do a load of damage, pull back, repair, rearm. It's a constant cycle for Lathans, that constant micromanagement cycle. It's something that I favour doing in Wargame with infantry. So one of the biggest things you can do in Wargame with infantry is cycle them in and out of combat. You move them in, you fight a bit. Once one gets injured, you pull the one that's getting injured out, you get it repaired and rearmed while swapping it out with another one. The next one that gets injured, you pull it out, you get it repaired and rearmed, and you keep swapping and rotating your troops. And that's something we're not seeing a huge amount in WARNO, and part of that has been because of how quickly stuff's been dying. But as infantry starts to last longer, as tanks engage in a longer fighting cycle, because they are changing these aspects of the game, we will see more of that. We will see more of this moving in and out of combat. We're already seeing it happen more and more with choppers now. Choppers are being moved in to do strikes and then pulled back to rearm and repair. So we will see more of that as the game gets into the swing of it and, is updated. We're also going to see changes to artillery eventually that will mean that you're going to end up rotating units off the front line with other units because they're going to get damaged by artillery. At the moment, it's a bit more of a... Unless you get a direct hit on your head with an artillery shell, you're absolutely fine, so people don't care. But if they start doing a bit more damage, you're going to want to rotate units in and out. It's going to change the gameplay. It's going to change how many units you have in the front line, because you're going to want reinforcement units to swap in. These are all good aspects of gameplay changes, by the way. Micromanagement isn't a bad thing. It's just something you have to learn to do better. And everyone can learn it. Now, you might not be as fast as Karma, but you will learn it over time. Loads of choppers on the field now. I mean, Cobra there as well. Good use of choppers from Mehdi. He is working very hard to keep the pressure up and clear up the middle with those choppers. He has been using them to attack. Obviously, they could be utilized better. He needs to target down anti-air for a start. And that's part of that micromanagement. And these things all immediately need rearming. And he'll do that, I think. Lafanz is back to +3. He's winning the fight down here. And this is the thing. So, if we go back to the start of this game, Lafanz chopper rush, which it was a rush on a point, I suppose, so it was technically a chopper rush. It wasn't the cheesiest one I've seen, and it was certainly not effective. Chopper rush for me is one where you bring in a lot of strong choppers and you wipe out the enemy's forces. That's more of a chopper rush to me, especially in this game now. You know, you're ending the game in a couple of minutes. Whereas here, it was a sort of failed push on a back point. It's not that much of a cheese action. You know, Mehdi dealt with it very well. The problem with Mehdi's tactic then was he didn't quickly respond. If that happens, yes, you need to deal with it, but you also need to deal with the other units that remain. So the stuff around Alpha, he did really well to push out of Alpha, but he didn't keep that pressure up and micromanage his troops that well. And then with Charlie, he didn't push aggressively immediately. There was absolutely nothing in Charlie. There was a couple of anti-air units and a squad of infantry. He could have run in there with everything he had and wiped it clean. And it would have put Lafanz massively on the back foot, because he would have needed to push into Charlie, just like he was needing to push into Alpha. So Mehdi did a really good job. He was just let down by his lack of experience in micromanaging those units. And that'll come with time for him. Lathans again, showing his ability to keep up that aggression that people aren't always prepared for. And it goes back to things we've seen. Look at these arrow rifles going down the bottom. Go on, Stinger, shoot them all down. I mean, this point's about to be stomped. Lathans has too much there. The arrow rifle's going around the back. I don't know where they're planning to land, but needless to say, Lathans has probably won this game again. I was going to go back to previous tournaments where we were talking about people not being aggressive enough when they have so many units in one area and the enemy has the command vehicle and a scout squad. And sometimes it pays just to be that little bit extra aggressive. Scouting, you know, it's not always a disadvantage to lose a unit scouting something. Yes, you've lost a few points, but you now know what's there, and you can deal with that. Whereas if you don't know what's there and you never push it, you may be losing out on taking an entire side of the map. So I always try to encourage people to be aggressive, and it's difficult. I struggle with it sometimes, but it's worth it. Look at how aggressive Lathans has been here at the bottom. He's got all that force at the front. He's swung all those choppers around the back with the arrow rifles. Now, don't get me wrong, he's getting massively overwhelmed by those tanks and all of the little birds. Really good job from Mehdi with all those choppers. This is late in the game. He's bringing out what he needs to survive. He's not going to survive. This game is over. Lathans has won. There's 20 minutes left to go. I expect we'll see a surrender soon. Sorry, Mehdi. You've played really hard there. And you're learning. You're learning. You pushed out so far from Alpha, which is really good. You didn't just sit in Alpha. Just about that micromanagement. So you should be really pleased with how you played there. I also like the fact you were repairing and rearming your choppers regularly. You know, you're learning all of this stuff. Lathans is just better at the micro, and it's paying off for him because he's cycling units and he's being really aggressive everywhere. It's kind of a stagnated point here now because Lathans has completely stopped paying attention to the top of the map. He is now completely focused on the bottom, which is actually strange for Lathans. It means that Mehdi's actually got him stressed, because Lathans no longer feels he can concentrate on the top of the map and the bottom. He's concentrating purely on the bottom. And look, Mehdi's doing a good job. He's killed a lot of forces here that Lathans has pushed into the point. Equally, Mehdi's losing a lot. So it's going both ways. But Mehdi's doing a good job. He's keeping the pressure on at this point. It's unfortunate that Lathans has managed to push him back that far in the first place. But it's a really good job. Look at these two Cobras flinging about. There is a Stinger coming in now, though. There's an Avenger pushing up. But Mehdi's trying to cycle them in and out. But at the top here, I think those mech rifles are moving. But it's the first proper movement I've seen in a while at that top point. But unfortunately, equally, Lathans can't push out at that point, but I feel like Mehdi can't really push in. He doesn't have enough forces. He's got an Abrams coming in there, but it's getting a bit too close and personal, perhaps, without plenty of infantry support. So I can see what he's trying to do, and it's good, but it's risky. Lathans relying on quite a bit of aircraft as well now to take out those choppers, which is something he needs to do. Those choppers are causing him loads of problems. But really well played to both of you. Chopper rushed for back point openings aside. That really wasn't as exciting as I expected. You didn't wipe out. I thought you were going to like somehow wipe out all of Mehdi's forces across the entire map in the first couple of minutes of the match with helos or, you know, mass bomber spam or something. That was not as bad as I expected. And it failed miserably. So that's on you. I do wonder how effective it would have been if you had attacked the front lines with all of those choppers and not called in the choppers with the infantry. I'd be interested to see that play out. But as we get into what is likely the final few minutes of this game, because the map is blue rather than red now, it is a swing. Lathans again doing an exceptional job with all of his aggressive tactics and his micro. I really cannot fault his playstyle right now. I actually want to see Lathans play Karma. I really want a Karma Lathans match. Karma's not in this tournament this time, but I would really like to see them play off against each other, because I actually think Lathans would stand a chance. If he keeps up this type of play, maybe without the silly rush at the start, because that wouldn't work against Karma. Karma would immediately take the entire map. But I mean, if Lathans played like he has in some previous games where he's just got that aggressive push across the whole map, I think he'd be a challenge for Karma. And Mehdi, obviously learnt from his first game there with Lathans, being a bit more aggressive. It's really nice to see how players are progressing throughout these tournaments. I can't commend them enough for how they do get better over time. And it's these players who come in at a very low skill level. You see how quickly they ramp up. And that can be an advantage. Playing in these tournaments, you're playing against good players. You can reassess how you've played yourself. You can watch people like me streaming your game and talk a load of nonsense about what you're doing. But hopefully it gives you some insight into how you're playing, what you're doing right, what you're doing wrong. It's all good feedback. There's no such thing as bad criticism, you know, unless you're being really offensive to someone. But, you know, there's a good point to having criticism as feedback. You learn from it. It's important. Really now, I'm just sort of letting the game play out, as it were, because, you know, it's either going to be a points victory or there's going to be a surrender. There's no way that Mehdi's bringing this back now. Lafanz, an amazing job. He's got all, what, an Abrams, and the Avenger is being used as a ground unit now. Last ditch push from Mehdi here. He's just throwing everything in. He's going to lose that tank probably. Oh, wow. He managed to kill Lathan's tank there. But yes, I think this is a last-ditch push. I've got to commend him for getting units around the back here in Charlie, though, as well. He has managed to get into the point. He may kill that command. Though there is a HE bomber and an napalm bomber coming in. They're going to drop on these guys, I imagine. No, they're going for the ones at the front. That surprises me. One unit died. The other one's probably going to die as well. And there's the surrender. Slash. Was that a total victory? Probably. Look at that. 2,100 points in it. It's not bad. Mehdi killed a lot there. I'd say that's a huge improvement over the last game as well, Mehdi. I think you should be really pleased with how your performance improved in that game. How you dealt with Lathan's cheesy push at the start to rush that back point. You dealt with it really well. Had you responded faster to that in the centre, I think you would have had both those points. I think you would have had commands in both those points. And I think you would have had a potential for a points victory, even if you couldn't force Lathans to surrender. So, kudos to you. That was really good. But Lathans, again, being a brutal aggressor. Avengers, air rifles, Avengers, F-16s, Abrams, mech rifles doing a really good job. Abrams again, Abrams. On the other side, that A-10 rocket didn't do bad. Heavy Hogs doing a good job. Military police were doing okay. Abrams doing a really good job. Airborne Scout, surprisingly, doing quite a lot of damage. But not a lot jumping out from Mehdi's side, but that was a really good game, guys. And Mehdi held out for such a long time. He's playing so much better in that game. Very impressed, guys. Thanks everyone for watching. I realised that game was a bit more of a talk about tactics and strategy in general towards the end, but I'm sure some of you will find that helpful. It won't be for everyone. But again, really well played, guys. I'm really looking forward to seeing both of your games in the next round of the tournament, whoever you're playing against. I'm sure they'll be really good. Thanks everyone for watching. Please do like, share and subscribe. As always, I will be doing Wargame Wednesday later on this evening, so please do tune in for that if you're into Wargame. I'll be playing some tactical games just for fun. I hope you all have a great week other than that. I'm sure I'll see you for some more WARNO later in the week.